Right, let's get reaction now to these developments. We're joined by Democratic Alliance's Jacqui Uys. Good to have you, Jacqui, and thank you very much for your time. This is a municipality that, at least up until 3 weeks ago, was in the hands of the Democratic Alliance along with its coalition partners. It's not a scorecard that puts you in a good light as far as how you're leaving that municipality.
Yes, it is very coincidental and possibly ironic that the financial status of the city has been presented today by Lebogang Maile, because he is also the MEC of COGTA that at the time placed the city of Tshwane illegally under administration. And when the city, before it went under administration, the city had a surplus. And after 8 months in administration, the city had a 4 billion rand deficit that it had to deal with when it came out of this illegal administration. So I'm hoping that finally Lebogang Maile will take responsibility for this deficit that he left the city with. And that what he is saying now of assistance to the city will be a first sign of him trying to rectify that. Yeah. So it is true that the city does come from a back leg when it comes to the financial position. We need to understand that it comes from that period that the city was placed illegally under administration, and that tough decisions had to be taken in order to get the city out of this financial situation that it was in. What we can say is that over the last year, the city has shown significant improvement in digging itself out of that hole that was left by the ANC administration at the time. And we can see that in the very same unaudited financial statements that was spoken about today, where the city now has a fund or accounting surplus of 2.5 billion rand. Now, although that does not say that there's a cash surplus, it does show that there is a more responsible way of handling of the money of the city. There was a 500 million savings that was shown on contracted services. Now, I understand that the now Mayor Nasipi Moya speaks about cutting back on grass cutting. The cutting back on grass cutting was on contracted services for grass cutting, where we said that the municipality can use its own employees, which is employed in positions to cut grass. There was funding made available in the current budget for employing people into these positions, as well as then for purchasing capital equipment for grass cutting. So the decision was never to cut back on grass cutting. The decision was to do it in a more effective way and a more financially sustainable way. And it would be very wise for the new government of the day to continue these measures that has been put in by the previous government.
Yeah. So 6.7 billion is where you are sitting with creditors. Now it's 11.9 billion. Doesn't necessarily point to a direction of improvement. It means you're owing more people. It is getting worse.
Yes, as I said, the city of Tshwane does have the 4 billion rand that is in the unfunded budget. And that is a reality that we have to. So
it's the deficit you're saying that would have made things worse. It's not your credit control policies, as the MEC says, which were poor, unable to collect from households.
Well, we've shown from January this month or this year until August this year almost 700 million rand a month increase in the collection processes that has been put into place. So what has been put into place over the last year has shown to work. It has shown that there is a sustainable effort that the city can put into increasing its monthly collections. We also saw in the previous financial year that we started increasing on what we actually bill our residents, and then also in the way that we can collect in that. The next step is then, of course, to ensure that we meter correctly to allow us to collect properly. So yes, the answer is in credit control and in collections, and that is exactly what the previous government and what myself as MMC and my predecessor were doing, and that started yielding results.
Yeah, you would have been doing well as far as water debt is concerned. The MEC saying you've managed to reduce that, but the electricity debt is going the other way now, even more with a billion rands, I think is what he's saying. What is happening there?
So the city of Tshwane during the winter months were able to sustain our current account with the credit provider of Eskom, credit provider of electricity. So we were able to actually pay our current account on that, which it has not been able to do in previous years. And this shows a very significant commitment to Eskom. What then happened is the ANC started threatening a motion of no confidence, and the revolving overdraft facility of the city was delayed due to that. And because the overdraft facility was delayed, the municipality were not able to then settle the Eskom account as it should have been if the overdraft facility was not delayed. Yeah. We need to understand that in local government, as with any other business, you at certain times need to delve into an overdraft facility. However, the MFMA states that in June of every financial year, we need to pay back that facility in full and then reapply for it. And that reapplication has now been pushed back with about 2 months. So that did allow or disallow the city of paying that the Eskom account. However, I believe that this facility is now coming through to council on Thursday to be approved, and I hope that in line with the budget that the new government do consider that favourably.
So it would have only affected the honouring of your commitments as far as electricity is concerned, but not when it comes to bulk water. How come?
Bulk water is on current. So the amount that Maile is referencing is the current amount that is due. Bulk water, well, I don't know in the last month, but bulk water while I was in office was paid all arrears. It was only a current account that was due. I can't speak for in the last month.
Right. This issue of non-compliance with, for example, Section 41 report of National Treasury, what do you make of that relating to Rand Water?
In Rand Water, as I said, Rand Water is it's on current. Up until the time when I left the office, it was current, and the only amount that was due was for the current month. So there was no non-compliance with regards to Rand Water.
Trade creditors increasing by almost 4 billion rands. Is that explainable as well?
Yes, as I said, there is a 4 billion rand deficit in the budget. So the trade creditors, it balances out with the 4 billion that was inherited from Lebogang Maile's disastrous administration period in the city.
But if we then take the trade creditors and 4 billion, we can't then also put the others as well on that same 4 billion, because it is there, you're saying that's the 4 billion rands, but why are we pinning the 4 billion rands on the others as well, on the liquidity, on the paying of electricity, on the paying of creditors and so on and so forth?
The amount that you are giving is for all creditors combined. Also, what you can't you can't compare a mid-year statement to an end of a financial year statement, but that is a technicality. There is differences in times when invoices are due, etc. The point is the overall creditors is increased by 4 billion rand because there was an unfunded budget of 4 billion rand that comes from a time of administration.
So you were operating with that unfunded budget, you're saying, in the time that you were there?
Yes.
And
it was inherited from 2020 when the city was placed illegally under administration.
Right. And you will be, as the Democratic Alliance, supporting the measures to turn this around that were presented by the mayor?
I'm not sure what the mayor has presented. I believe that they will only be presenting that tomorrow. But should they continue to do the correct things, and that is making sure that they collect what is due to the city, making sure that they increase revenue by billing what needs to be billed, metering correctly what is used, and then ultimately also looking at ensuring that what they charge for both services as well as for rates and taxes is correct. That will be the only way that we can sustain the financial turnaround of the city, along with making proper decisions when it comes to cost containment, making proper decisions on where we spend our money and how we spend our money, cutting down on contracted services. So should the mayor's plan entails those things, then yes, we will support it, because those are the only things that can sustainably turn around the city.
Jacqui Uys, appreciate your time. Thanks so much for coming on for my MMC for finance in the city of Tshwane.